Pleasant good morning, good evening, good night, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to the Monday's episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Today is Monday, the 4th day of March, 2024. Welcome, welcome one and all. Welcome. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. Hope you are looking forward. You're prepared for a productive week. And here we are again after a very calm, which is for me, a very calm and relaxing weekend. We're here to give you the valid, credible news on this Monday's episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. My colleague, Mr. Conway, is already in the studio, raring to go. You know, let's celebrate being in the land of the living. Let's give praise and thanks. This is the day that the Lord has made. We should all rejoice and be glad in it, and we should celebrate being in the land of the living. Many persons would not have been that fortunate. And again, I have to say, I'm always overwhelmed by the number of students who are online, signed up in the schoolyard, as we will say. From the time the program is scheduled, they are there waiting and making comments, and they are ready to go. And once we go live, which we did a few minutes ago, then those people on Facebook will run in. And therefore, you got to share the live. It is scrolling along at the bottom of the screen there, but you must share. You must get on to your colleagues. Let them know. We have a lot to tell you about this morning, a lot to tell you. And I'm sure that you're going to find it very, very informative, very, very interesting. So share the live. While we are at this introduction, I want to tell you too You got to continue to subscribe to the channel on YouTube, like the page on Facebook, and in that way, it's going to get more popular. We are going rapidly in popularity, and we want it to continue that way, and we can only do so with your assistance. So continue to do so. Another thing someone said, that if you go now and you hit the thumbs up, give the program a thumbs up, give it a star, give it a like, give it something. All of you should go now and do that, and that too helps to generate the algorithms that makes the program popular. And we are going to continue to bring the information. You know, last week we had some issue, and let me tell you what the issue really was. While, leading up to the program time, everything was fine. I did all the checks. I checked the camera. I checked the microphone to make sure that you can get the information. And then just as I went live, the thing froze and we had problems. I discovered later that it was a blackout from the internet service provider. So it wasn't anything to do, as we had suspected, with people trying to block the program. We lost internet connection, and the provider sent a note to me to say we have lost internet connection. They were doing everything to restore it, which they did. But you know what happened then? We lost the internet connection, so we couldn't do the usual thing. We went to our phone and used the data on the phone, as you saw. We went to the phone, and that is what we are telling you. We will do everything that is humanly possible to make sure that we bring the good news. Well, not good all the time, good. We bring the news to you, anything. So last week Wednesday, we went to phone, data and phone, and we were doing it on our cell phones. Then the internet connection was restored, and we were able to go back and do it in the usual manner. So yeah, we are going to do what we have to do to make sure you get the information. We're going to do the roll call following shortly thereafter. We're going to go into the many, many issues that we have to deal with this morning. Last week, we did not get to do roll call because of the issues I identified a little while ago. So today, we have to make sure that the roll call is done. However, we went live. Now when we schedule the program, we scheduled it just after 8 minutes to 9, and Isabella was number 1. Congrats, Isabella. Came in the schoolyard first. Then we had Brian, Gavin, then Maureen came in, Trotty, John. John is a man, I think John said he's from New Amsterdam. He's a Bobishan. Barlett from Linden is here. Courtney, Vibert, Debbie, always here. Clive, I know Clive is out of the UK. Como from New Jersey. Felicia is in the house. Magnell. Winston from the UK, regular. Winston don't miss a program. The one and only BX is here. Evelina is in class. Gaston is here. BX asked a question. I remember to answer it a little later. He asked a question here. Then we have Raul, the man from Melanie Damashana, Francis Keith Rockcliffe, Sean from New York, always present. Charles is here from Linden, Earl. Then we have Joan saying happy Monday. Same to you, my dear. Patricia is in the house. She said congratulations to Team B. And we're going to talk about that briefly in a while from now. Then we have Winston from California, Princess from Lamar Springs, Magnell, Clifton. And Clifton is all the way from Paris. He is always on this show. Anthony from Peters Hall on the East Bank of Demerara. Then we have Anthony, another Anthony. Then Wayne, Denise, George from East Coast, BV on the East Coast in class. Patricia is here. She's from New Jersey. Pamela, proud West Sider from West Demerara. Wayne from the UK is in the house. Tessa is from Florida. Then we have Carlton, my squad mate. He is from New York. Pauline is here. Pito is from Queens. Schwartzy. Leon is in the class. Shatred is here. Tallulah is very much here, present all the time. Evelyn. Then Sandra is here. Fergus. TK from California is here as well. Lucius from Maryland is here. Cranston. Then we have our good friend, Rohan is in the house. Brennan don't miss, and Brennan is the man who tapes every single episode, And he said, beat and teach. This is where you got to do beat and teach. Then we have Lyndon. Lyndon make a comment here. I'll talk about it a little later. Sagi from the quarantine is here. 9602. Sagi Jarvis is in house. Gene Bond. Then we have John. John is always present, man. Always present. Troy is in the class. Carlisle. Everett, the man from Texas, where everything is big, you see. Doreen, my squad mate from she's from New Jersey, but I know she was in Guyana recently. I'm going to comment on that occasion in a short while. Colin, Orin, and then we have Tia Ben, 1, 2, 3, Clarence, Rhonda, Monica, Godfrey, then we have Gordon. You see, when I tell you that a lot of people are in the schoolyard waiting, this is the evidence I'm presenting. So I don't want you to believe, like some other people, that we come here and we try to mislead you. This is the evidence we're providing. Jerry came in at 11:21. Bonita West Coast, Bobby's in the house. Then we have Danny, old detective is here. When I say old, not old in terms of his age, old in terms that he used to be a detective a long time ago. So I'm trying to be politically correct. Chilo is in the house. El Ben, you got a lot of Ben. You have Ben 1, 2, 3. Now we get El Ben. Hope the other Ben, I know the other Ben either listens or he gets report on what is discussed on this program. The other Ben, Ulrich is very much here. Ulrich from Crane, I think he said in the last program. Crane West Coast, Demerara. Then we have Colin. He said he's in Guyana on vacation. Enjoy your vacation, my student. Barbara is here. Valietta is in class. Another Tessa Richards is in class. Kay, Malcolm is very much here. Lynette, I think Lynette from the UK. Yes, Lynette is from the UK. She said UK in the house. Ulrich, my squaddy, I think he operates out of Barbados now. Then we have Lyndon Hopkinson is here. Ian Jacko from Georgia. David is in the house. He says he's from Olive Creek. Let me put that up. David is from Olive Creek in Region 7. It's all over, man. All geographical location. June is here. Then Denise is from New Jersey. Junior is around. Dav is from 1154, Miami, Maryland. I can't recall seeing this person before. Welcome if you're a first timer. I know you might have been on the program, but you never commented, so welcome. Karen is here. Chisel Chipper 68 is in the house. Volda is here as well. Sherwin is here. All of that. I think I was close to 100. In the schoolyard before we started. And when we went live, we had the first person in was Carlton. Popo, don't miss it. Yes, son. My cousin out of Trinidad. Then we have Orin from the UK came in. Wanda came in. Who else? Lynette from Barbados is here. Then we had Vibert came in. Derika is in the house. Orin came in as well. And who more we have? Let me acknowledge one more person. Carol is here as well. So let me go little Junior, and then we have that Bray is here as well. So, and of course, a regular Janice is in there. She don't miss anything. So yes, we have all of those students just waiting. And then let me now make some the announcements. One moment. Announcements, and then we're gonna bring in Mr. Conway, and then we're gonna get the ball rolling. As I said, we're gonna start to beat and teach. So in terms of the announcement, let me get my notes. Allow me to get my notes. I in terms of the notes, we indicated that we would have been making short clips, or you would have noted that in the past 3 weeks or so, we have not been able to do any short clips. I'm going to try to do some shortly. I am taxed. I have a lot of stuff to do, and that is the reason why the short clips were not done recently, but we'll do that. Birthday greetings. Retired, just belated birthday greetings to retired woman inspector Desiree Kodagan. She celebrated her birthday on March 1. Then we had retired detective inspector Gladwin Archiles He celebrated a birthday on the 2nd of March. Then we had I got a news this morning. I'm on the same chat. Former Detective Sergeant Cedric Stewart. He recently celebrated his 98th birthday. His nephew is on the live here now, and he mentioned it, so I thought it important to me. Let me repeat that. Former Detective Sergeant Cedric Stewart. He recently celebrated his 98th birthday. I don't know him, but 98 gotta be one of these very old police, maybe 40-something hundred police, 50-something hundred police. And then a good friend of mine celebrated his birthday, or two good friends. Mr. Keith Lowenfield celebrated a birthday yesterday. You know, Keith, the controversy surrounding Keith, former chief executive officer of GCOM. He celebrated his birthday yesterday. And then former Minister of Foreign Affairs, I think he was also finance, Carl B. Greenidge, celebrated a birthday yesterday as well. I want to take this opportunity to wish all those persons all the best on your birthdays. I hope you had a wonderful day, and I hope that with God's blessings, you will continue to live to see many, many, many more birthdays, just like former Detective Cedric Stewart, who celebrated a 98th birthday. Stewart, you got to make your 100. You got to make your century and go on even further beyond that. Do like Lara, once you get to them figures, baton. And let me say, I alluded to it earlier. I was announcing the 50th anniversary of Course 74. The second half, the one that I was in, joined on the 1st of March 1974. So we had Course 74 in 74. And the guys in Georgetown or in Guyana got together last Friday and had a wonderful time by all accounts. You know, some pictures were posted, and when you looked at the pictures, sometimes you had difficulty identifying some of your squad mates because it's 50 years ago. And in many instances, we might not have seen each other in a long time, 30, 40 years. So it took some time and for us to identify. We have a WhatsApp group, and then people started to mention names, and then it clicked, yeah, that is that person, that is that person. 50 years ago, we were all young, some of us were teenagers, some just passed our teen when we joined the Guyana Police Force. So we just had our 50th anniversary. And as we said, those in Guyana celebrated on the day itself, the 1st of March. And the others who are in New York or who are in North America are planning this celebration during the summer this year. So that ought to be a grand occasion as well. The persons in Guyana have set the standard, and the others will have to follow that high standard that was set. Now, the other thing that I want to mention before I bring in Mr. Conway is I want to congratulate Deputy Commissioner Dr. Paul Williams, who proceeded on pre-retirement leave last Saturday, the 2nd of March, 2024. Paul Williams, Deputy Commissioner, proceeded on pre-retirement leave. What a relief that must have been. I know based on the system, he is due to retire on the 1st of May. So he's on pre-retirement leave now. That is a relief. And I guess it's going to be a bigger relief when the 1st of May comes and he retires properly. He's no longer in the force. He ain't doing like the extended squatter. He ain't going to hang on. He's not going to hang on like Snoopy and the extended squatter. So before I go any further, let me bring in Mr. Conway at this stage, and then we're going to come back. CC, good morning and welcome to the Monday's episode. I think we're not, hold on. Let me unmute you. Because you're on mute. Check here, you're on mute. You're muted, so please take off the mute and so we can hear you. We are seeing you, but we cannot hear you. Remember, Judge once told the lawyer that I can hear you, but I cannot see you because he wasn't properly dressed. I should be able to do it, but I'm unable to do so. Oh, I can't unmute you. So the thing is telling me you have to unmute. You're still muted. You are still muted. The mute button is there. Look somewhere down on the bottom to the left. You should see the mute button. All you have to do is click it. You just clicked it and you put it on back. You put it on back. So please click again on that mute button and it will be unmuted. Still not unmuted. somewhere to the bottom left, it should be there, somewhere there. Now, while CC trying to get that, let me continue. I'm going to see when he gets it off. So I want to take this opportunity. Oh, yes, it's off. So I could bring him in now. Yes, CC, your mute is off. As I said, we could have seen you, but we could not hear you. Remember, a judge had told a liar he wasn't properly robed, and the judge said to him, "I can see you, I can hear you, but the judge said to the liar, I can hear you, but I cannot see you." He wasn't properly dressed. Yes, CC, go ahead, please.
I can remember that. I remember that. And border greetings in place, anniversary greetings in place, and I want to make an apology. I commented on a high court matter where the judge had cited an attorney at law for contempt of court, and I said that it was Keith Messiah. But I have some very brilliant students with good knowledge, and they were reminding me that it wasn't Keith Messiah, it was Claude Messiah, his brother. So mea culpa, I admit, and I must congratulate our students, Winston and others, for bringing it to my attention and giving me some good other information about the incident. Also, Paul Williams, my buddy, I want to wish you well. I know you're in the final stretch there, and you, Dr. Paul Williams, as far as I'm concerned, you should have been the confirmed commissioner. You're the only deputy commissioner in Guyana Police Force, and we have an assistant commissioner who has been extended till after election. According to the Public Service Commission rule, the most senior man was that, and I know, Paul, you're the most qualified and academically suited for the force, but that's how the thing goes, you know, when they unlawfully put other persons to act as commissioner as police. So congratulations to you, Paul. Keep up the good work, and I know that you're very marketable at this stage.
Yeah, I want to say the thing, you're very marketable, and that is what I would normally say to ranks in the force. Make yourself marketable so that when you retire, and even if you get the fortunes like the extended squatter, you got to go at some time. If the good Lord allows you to live long enough, you have to come out of the force at some time. We had Larry Lewis, who, when he was there, used to tell people that you don't have transport for the force, so it means, or transfer for any position, you can be moved to any location. And he moved a lot of people. When his time came at 55 for him to leave as commissioner, he suddenly discovered that he had a transport. So he was extended for 2 periods up to 60. When he reached 60, they were trying to extend him again. And Debbie Walker, the member of parliament, the late Debbie Walker, challenged it. And they recognized because the law does not provide for him to have been extended beyond 60. So he had to leave. I think it was 2001 at 60. So with this extended squad that we have, even if you are allowed to continue, when you reach 60, if the Lord spare your life to be there, if you have the health to be there, you got to go at some stage. So we say to all members, whether you become an officer or not, prepare yourself for after the force. Some people operate as if there is no life after the force. That is why some of them, very senior ones, I'm not going to call their name here now, but you don't see them anywhere. They're ashamed to walk about. They're ashamed. They have retired at the very high offices, and what? They got to duck and hide someplace. They cannot go around because they operated with such callousness, I would say, that people have come to more or less hate them. They can't go around the place. So while you're in the force, remember, if you are spared to live to retirement age, whether you reach 55 or whether you extend it beyond that, there's a life after the force. Make yourself marketable. And I tell you from my own experience, when I retired in 2010, buddy, I got a job, and then I started to realize how good it is to be outside. Then I tell friends and I tell other people, one of the things that I cherish the most is to know that, look, I don't have to get up early in the morning I used to get up and exercise, but not the type of pressure to take reports from the various officers and thing. I tell them, when you are a senior man, a commander, I was a commander for several police divisions, and the phone rang at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, it's stress right away, because you know it's some serious crime, some murder, some serious robbery, they're calling to report to you. But seriously, so when you retire, you don't leave now, Paul. Enjoy your leave. You get to do a lot of the things that you weren't able to do when you were in the force. I know that you're a believer. You're going to get the chance to go to your church with your other fellow congregants, and you're going to pray and you're going to worship the Lord. And maybe you're going to pray for forgiveness for all those who did you all of those wrongs. All of them. You're going to ask the good Lord to forgive them, and it will be his decision whether you're going to forgive them or not, whether he's going to spare their life for a long period or not. So enjoy your retirement. Now, the next issue I want to talk about is Guyana is not a real place. Guyana is a lawless country. And for a country that does not have a war going on, perhaps it is more lawless than any other country. We had this issue, a running issue for about 2 years or so, with the Public Service Union Co-op Credit Union Limited. The people went to court, and it was a prolonged thing. Eventually, the judge, Justice, I think Navendra Singh, ruled, and even the first ruling or one of the rulings, the people were openly defiant. So the last time the matter came up before him, he set some guidelines, he set some deadlines, and he said that the special general meeting was to be held by a particular time. Now, this meeting was held on Saturday. And from all indications, the Trevor Ben team, which included Mentor, Patrick, and Vanessa Kisoon, swept the table. They got some huge numbers. People supported them fully, right? And I extended congratulations to them. And I said, it's not a crystal ball, People accuse me of being the Obia man. Just slow, you're seeing far. No, it's not see far. It's what they call intelligent anticipation. I am calling them Obia. And I said to them, watch out for the shenanigans. The fact that even though this thing was conducted on Saturday and you won overwhelmingly, look out for the shenanigans. So this morning, the newly elected committee convened a meeting. And as I had anticipated, and as I had warned, those who were removed from office went there and they disrupted. I saw the videos, I was looking at it this morning. The shouting at the meeting was null and void or something like that. Slogan, they're banging plastic bottles on the table. Women, these were all women I saw doing that. Perhaps men were doing it as well. But what I saw from the tape, women banging and behaving disorderly and unlawfully. They're behaving disorderly and unlawfully, and one wonders, because I hear among those persons are at least one attorney at law. And I say this, if the court ordered that this special general meeting should be held, it was held in accordance with the order of the court, at least on the date or within the time specified by the court. You feel that this meeting was not, or the special general meeting was unlawful as you're claiming. You feel that certain rules were violated. And you want to tell me that course of action going into the meeting and banging, if you are a law-abiding citizen, if you are a decent person, I would think that the thing to do is to go back to the court, challenge the result of the meeting, perhaps try to get an injunction to prevent the committee from functioning, but to go into the meeting and disrupt the meeting. I understand that I saw, just before I came on live, the Mrar Waves post something which says that police have to be called in on the meeting. Let me warn the police too. Let me warn the police, because some of them, they don't know how police work. You have this meeting, and the people are in this is building, and they are behaving disorderly, they're banging. Watch how you're going into the building and what action you are legally authorized to take. Let me understand this thing clearly. Police must remember, and the commanders in particular must remember, there's a thing called summons. The same thing that you all send Sarabo to New York to solve on Burke, there's a thing called summons. And in many cases, I learned, and I taught the people under me, that rather than arrest and escalate the situation, it might be best to take note, take statements, and proceed by way of summons. Let me understand this thing clearly. Police were summoned to this meeting. I hope, I haven't read the thing fully, but I'm just saying that I hope the police are not going to go in there and try to arrest people, because that is only likely to escalate a situation. Only escalate. It might be best. And commanders who are listening, I know you do listen, so if not now, in future, you get statements from the people concerned. They call in the police, fine. Make a report. And this is a thing you have to, somebody call the police and you're running just like that. This is not some serious crime, you know. This is not some serious crime where you have to respond immediately. You're called, make sure that there is a record. An occurrence is made. That is what gives you the authority to act. You make an occurrence that such a report is made by such and such a person. You respond, yes, but at the earliest opportunity, you'd want to get statements from the parties. Perhaps you may even want to pursue, get legal advice and to proceed by way of summons. But even if you get legal advice to bring prosecution, don't hustle to go and arrest people. That is not always the best thing, to arrest people. Proceed by way of summons. And from experience, I can tell you that sometimes get a big sting, because sometimes people sit back and they believe that the matter is over and done with. And then when a couple weeks or so, they get that blue paper. That we should refer to the summons as a blue paper. When they get that, they are shocked. You shock them because they did not know the matter was still continuing. Let me bring in Mr. Conway to make his comments on what I've said so far. CC, your turn.
Yeah, Paul, and as you mentioned, you know, this meeting was a directive by the judge, and if for some reason the persons felt that here it was not properly done, they gotta go back to the judge, and they can't go down with the lawlessness. I saw some clippings, and it's total lawlessness, disrupting the meeting. Go back to the judge, and as I mentioned a couple sessions ago, it's time that the judges start get serious. I'm happy that Justice Kisuna pull in Saddam Hussein. That's what the judges are got to do. Pull them in and cite them for contempt of court. Let them answer why they should not go to jail. Too much of lawlessness and too many persons are flouting the orders of the judges. And you mentioned about police being summoned to the scene. And you quite rightly stated, sometimes it is better to proceed by way of summons. You want the person, look, I'm going to prosecute you by way of summons, and you take it from there. But then that before you do that, you have to get statements, written statements from persons who are present there or who are offended. And I always like to go to the law. Let me read the law. What say about arrest. Powers to arrest without warrant. Section 16(1) of the Police Act said, it shall be lawful for any member of the force to arrest without warrant. A, any person who commits in his view an offense punishable either upon indictment or upon summary conviction. Or B, any person wherein a person charges with having committed a felony or misdemeanor. Or C, any other person suspected of having committed a felony or misdemeanor, or charges of having committed an offense punishable on summary conviction, if such person is willing to accompany the member of the force affecting the arrest to the police station and to enter into our recognizance to prosecute such charge. Or D, any person whom such member of the force finds disturbing the public peace. Or C, any person whom he has good cause to suspect of having committed or being about to commit an offense and a felony, misdemeanor, or breach of the peace. And F, any person whom he finds between the hours of 8 o'clock in the evening and 5 o'clock in the morning, lying or loitering in a highway, yard, or other place, and not able to give a satisfactory account of himself. And those are the general powers of arrest. You don't want to arrest people while. And let me wish to congratulate Trevor Ben, Patrick Mentor, and others for being lawfully elected to the present position. And I say again that it's high time that those lawlessness be stopped, and they must put a stop into it. And I urge the judges that when they pass the order, that they must ensure that the orders are complied with, or if they're not complied with, persons must be cited for contempt of court.
Well said, my brother. Well said. And this all this lawlessness, we're gonna talk about it a little later. But the lawlessness, this lawless environment that we are in. And Dudley's asking a question here. My friend Dudley's asking is if an occurrence is the same as an entry in a station diary. No, Dudley, it's not the same. You make an occurrence in the occurrence book, and the person who made the report, the nature of the report, and that type of thing is entered in the occurrence book. The station diary is for routine recording. People report for duty, people left on duty, the time you hoist the flag, you lower the flag. Those routine stuff are in the station diary. Book number 1, I think it is. But when you talk about an occurrence book, is where when an offense is reported, if it's an offense, and there's a distinction between an offense and a crime. Offense is an ordinary thing. Someone costs you, and in this case, with the credit union, there's an offense is being reported. People behaving disorderly in this meeting. So you make an occurrence. In many cases, you make an occurrence, but then later it might be transferred as to a crime, because when it is recognized based on what obtains thereafter, sometimes what obtains at the same time, you may want to then transfer that occurrence into the crime book, which is a different thing altogether. I know long ago it was done that way because no ordinary police could have written in a crime book. Those detectives guarded that crime book very zealously, and therefore you couldn't make the entry. So when something happens, the entry is made in the occurrence book, and then they will transfer it into the crime book. So I hope I answered that question, Dudley. CC, you want to see anything on that question?
Yeah, and we know that the occurrence book, those for minor things that not really record as crime. But then we have found over the past couple of years that the police have been hiding a lot of crime in the occurrence book, So when they're making up the stats for them to look good, they're not quoting, they're quoting figures from the crime book and not the occurrence book. That many crimes are hidden away in the crime book. But any good detective, I remember in my days, that 7464 Smith, he became a superintendent. And when he comes in the morning as a detective, he said, bring the occurrence book. Let me see if you all hide away any crime in it. Whether the crimes are solved or not, he used to, every day, to check the occurrence book to see whether the crime were related, recorded here.
Yeah, but that's the duty of the people in charge of the station, the detectives and all of that, because as I said, sometimes in the evening in particular, no detective is around, somebody come and report what amongst a crime, and they make an occurrence. They make an occurrence. Nothing is wrong with that. But in the next day, what should happen is that occurrence should be transferred into the crime book so that crimes are properly reflected. Now, moving on. Yesterday, when I got up yesterday morning, I read the newspaper. When I got up in the morning, I just run to the paper to see if anything interesting is there. So when I got up yesterday morning and I went to Stabrook News, well, let me tell you, plain when I said newspaper, Stabrook News and Kaicho News. I don't bother with the rest. I read Stabrook News, I read Kaicho News online, and I don't bother with the rest. Right? If there's a particular issue, I might then go to see what is being reported by the others. So I read yesterday morning and I saw that the extended squatter, otherwise known as the Commissioner of Police acting, is being reported on. They said that he failed to declare his assets to the Integrity Commission as required by the proper law. Big in the paper, I see sit down there and the thing. And I decided, me, I like my research. I read what they said about him, and then in the article, they said that the names of the defaulters were published in the official gazette on March 2, that is Saturday, 2 days ago. It was published. So, a man who liked research, I went and I looked for the official gazette to see the other names that were published. And when I go into the thing, my name is there, Paul Slow, DSM, under the Police Service Commission. So I said, what? How is it? This thing is supposed to be for persons that report to. Let me tell you what they call people. Persons in public life I said, well, I limited public life since 2021, the 8th of August 2021. How could it be that my name is listed among the defaulters? Because I know when I was at the police office, Commissioner's Chamber, every year I file in within the deadline. So I said, nah, something wrong. But when I read the official gazette a little further, I noted that the time that they are claiming that for the declaration was between July 1, 2021 and 2022. That's at the end of June 2022. So it wasn't a calendar year. I think the year starts, according to them, July 4th and ends at the end of June the next year. So when I check, I realized that I was a person in public life for 39 days in 2021. That's between the 4th of July 2021 to the 8th of August 2021. So I am required to file, to make a declaration between that, for that period, which I will do. Because when I read the law further, I'll tell you all I like read, I noted that the Public Integrity Commissions Act state that no prosecution can be proceeded with without the fiat of the DPP. And I say, oh Lord, imagine slow fail to file or fail to declare in time, and a file goes to the DPP for the DPP to determine whether slow should be charged or not. You know, there get no question about what that decision will be, even though it's only for 39 days. And even though the records will show that I filed my declaration as required by law when I was at the police office. But truly, let me tell you, the honest thing is I really believe was a calendar year. But this is not a calendar year. So those who were in public life, let me tell you, it's not a calendar year. I think the Integrity Commission year starts on the 4th of July one year, and it ends in June the next year. So I have to file, which I will do. I will do. So I thought I let you know, because I don't want, because the next, when the Volkswagen and all of those people see that slow did not file, if they mention a kid name, the extended squatter, they're going to seek to put an article to say slow and file. So I'm coming out in front, full disclosure, and tell you all that my name is listed. For the police office commission, I think they had five persons, myself, and during my commission, the commission I chaired, Mrs. Adams. So I advise you to hustle and file your things so they don't get you and so on. And also, sorry about that. I know there's a CC file. CC, did you see that?
Yeah, but I didn't read the official gazette, but I know I file up here. I make it clear that I take pains in filing my returns, because I know I ain't get me luck, right? Like you ain't get me luck since the year Conway still like going to charge. And I know since it got to DPP, for the DPP's fiat, you're gonna get one word: approve. Approve, and do be it, So I didn't read the official gazette, but I read the article, but I didn't see your name in the article. But the and nobody filing, and I did file, and I know Wesley is going to file too. And you file it 39 days, man, and done with it.
Exactly. I filed it 39 days. But I send the official gazette to you because I get some names there of some interesting persons. A lot of names are there. And I am disappointed that I allow myself to be listed among those defaulters. That is not in that doesn't in my nature. I don't be among defaulters. I am never among defaulters. And I've said it was an oversight. And I hardly spend time in Guyana, so I don't even know if normally they would send out the form and thing. I can't recall ever seeing it, but I will make sure now that they have put my name in the official gazette. And I was want to say to them too, because I think that thing has email address on the record. I think it has an email address, and I would want to think that in addition to, I know in the past they would mail it to you, but they don't mail it to any address in the United States. So I would think that if persons are required to file, all the people, in addition to sending the thing, they should email it, because if they had emailed it, I am sure that I would have seen it, and I would have then realized that I had to file. But that is what I am staying clear, my dear. Yes, Cheryl. I am staying clear of the enemies, the Jagabot, the trench crappers, and the amphibians. I stay clear from them. It is my fault, and I blame myself. No one else. I'm not blaming anyone else, but I'm just making that suggestion that in addition to this hard copy thing that they email to you at your address, they should also, that they mail to you at your address, they should also seek to email it to you. So once they email it to you, you're going to hear what is going on, right? Winston is saying that he was required to file for the period July 1 to August 2nd. Yeah, I'm required to file for the period July 1 to August 8th, because that is one. I know, I told my one of my lawyers yesterday, this is a battle I am fighting. Because if I wanted to fight this one, I think I can fight, because the government of Guyana, the president of Guyana, said that I was suspended from as chairman of the Police Service Commission from the 16th of June 2021. They said I was suspended from the Police Service Commission. This is what we say. Of course, we challenge that in court later on, and the court held that you weren't suspended. But if they're saying that I was suspended, perhaps there was no requirement for me to sign. But I ain't taking on that one. I'm just mentioning it in passing. I am not taking on that one. They have until the 2nd of June. I have until the 2nd of June to file, and I will ensure that I file by the 2nd of June. Again, I say, I became chairman of the Police Service Commission on the 9th of August 2018. And for every year, for that period in 2018, 2019, 2020, every year I filed on time. I made my declaration on time. As a matter of fact, I took the declaration into the office every time I got my receipt from them on time. So it was a mistake, my mistake, and I am going to make sure that I comply with the law. Now, moving on. Now, over the weekend, let me preface this thing by saying, they believe it has only come here to attack the police. It's not attack. We have been saying over and over how careless the police are with releases, with other written documents. Very, very careless. Very, very, no proper checks. The police corporate propaganda unit are the main sinners. They put out these things, they don't check. So over the weekend, an advertisement, or as the Americans would say, an advertisement, same thing, came out that the police were advertising for persons to join the force. I think it was in the police from the Region 8. I think it was 8, which is Madja area. But one simple little advertisement with many, many mistakes. And people are excoriating the police force because of that. We see again, you have to check these things properly. And some people said typographical. Yeah, because, for example, the word passport appears twice. On one occasion, it is spelled correctly, P-A-S-S-P-O-R-T. On another occasion, it is spelled incorrectly, P-A-S-T-P-O-R-T. And it is a clear case of carelessness. One thing say, walk along with any qualification. What is any qualification? In the same advertisement, walk along with any qualification. Some stupidness like that. I don't know who checked these things, and then the names of 2 ranks are listed on the flyer for people to contact. They must be ashamed to list the name on that. People are not checking these things, they're not reading, and not only with the flyer that comes out, we have seen it with matters going before the court. They are not checking on these things properly. Therefore, when it gets to the court now, problems, the matters are dismissed. But if you're a police rank, especially at the rank of sergeant and those ranks, all ranks, but especially at those ranks, you have got to make sure that these things are checked properly. P-A-S-T-P-O-R-T, that thing. And as I said, it had to be a mistake because it is also spelled again correctly, P-A-S-S-P-O-R-T. And, these things are important. People believe that we are nitpicking. We are not nitpicking. We are saying that if you are going to put something on social media or elsewhere, you have got to make sure that these things are accurate. CC, before I bring you on, I have to say that they could have never existed in the days of Larry Lewis. They could have never. Larry Lewis was so meticulous that when anything had to be sent, when I'm a commander, sending anything to Larry Lewis, not only you have to check your grammar, you have to check everything, because he was going to embarrass you if you did not check everything. He will call you perhaps initially and advise you, but if you see you are a person repeatedly making mistakes, he can embarrass you. And therefore, you have to take your time and check these things. But it appears now that this doesn't happen any longer. A flyer going out on behalf of the force. A flyer going out on behalf of the force so the world to see, because in the age of social media, it is not restricted to any geographical location. Anyone on social media can see. And when you look at the shares, the people have shared the thing all over. Yeah, Ulrich, you are a PSC to the commission at some time, and when you speak and you them green verb, you would murder you with a green verb. I remember a certain senior officer reporting on a fire and spoke about the debris. Oh, Jesus, Lord, Larry Lewis, no, he kill you. He spoke about the debris. Instead of debris, he spoke about the debris. And that is why, too, we have this thing about Joe Braz, a former traffic chief, shouting. Buddy, you're not going to know to pronounce every word. Perhaps you're not going to know to spell every word. In the days of smartphone, when I write in and so on, I always give my smartphone alongside me to check on spelling and all of this everything. I make mistakes. Yeah, I'm human. I make mistakes. But I try not to repeat the same mistakes. I try to make sure that I learn from mistakes, because they tell you that one of the ways to learn is some mistakes. So, CC, I know as a man in charge of training for all this time, you would have seen that and you would have been pained by what you saw. So let me bring you in to make a comment on that. Go ahead.
I always say, that inspection is an indispensable tool of management. And there's no substitute for checking. You have to check. You talk about Larry Lewis. Larry Lewis will say you're responsible for everything above your signature. Everything above your signature, you are responsible. And I look at the advertisement for Region 3 and Region 2, and they made a whole set of mistakes here too. Far different from the one in Region 8. Perhaps nobody in checking, nobody in inspecting anything. People just sending out things willy-nilly, that they got to check, they got to inspect. And talking about inspection, I can't recall when last I heard about a notified inspection by a commissioner of police. According to the police standing orders, once a year, a commissioner must hold notified inspection. The extended squatter, they didn't hold any. Leslie James didn't hold any. Brummel didn't hold any. Celia Prasad didn't hold any. I think the last man that held in notified inspection at the station was Henry Green. So they're not checking and they're not inspecting. Therefore, things has got to go wrong and things will go haywire upon.
Yeah, you got to check, you got to inspect, you got to check. And let me say this, and that is an opportunity to because with the inspection, I know as a commander I held notified inspections, and you get an opportunity to sit and interact with your ranks to hear what their issues are, and to deal with them. And people are motivated to you motivate your ranks to tell them about your vision for the division, and if they have, you perhaps invite them if they have any issues. They might not feel comfortable discussing it at the meeting, but you get an open door so they can come and they can talk to you about issues. Yeah, and let me tell them too, what we used to do, what we did then, there was always a senior police officer in every division, including headquarters division, to whom the ranks can go and discuss issues, because women have peculiar issues. They might not feel comfortable discussing with a male commander or a male officer. So you have to identify these things. It is not done willy-nilly. Back in the day, people like Yvonne Harper, Yvonne Braffett, and all of these people, Moms Harper, and those persons. More recently, you had Maxine Graham as a senior police woman at headquarters. Women could go to them and discuss issues with them, peculiar issues. A woman, most of the female, are going to feel uncomfortable discussing certain things with the man, because you can't trust some of them. You can't trust some of them, the men I'm talking about. You go and you talk the story with them, and then the next thing they're hustling the women and they're saying all sort of things. So yeah. But I would want to suggest to them, that is the extended squad and all of them. Why would they listen? Whether they can take the suggestion or not, that is up to them. But I feel I should make it. That rather than having all these divisions, even if you have to recruit in a particular division, where you have this thing decentralized, it should be centralized. One flyer is sent. And if they want to make the edit in terms of the dates, if they want to make the edit in terms of the location, they can do that. But to have every single division putting out their own flyers with all these mistakes, somebody remind us here that the word certificate appeared twice, and on one occasion it was misspelled. those things should not be allowed, can't get past proper checks, should not get past proper checks. Because again, I emphasize, is carelessness. Because if the word appears twice and it's spelled correctly once and incorrectly on the next step, it's not that you don't know to spell it. It's just that you are careless. And you cannot afford carelessness. The people will view you. I retired for the first 14 years now. And when I saw the comments that are being made on social media with respect to this flyer, a shame. Then perhaps it's because I have shame. And maybe those people who are sitting there now, including the extended squad, they don't have shame. So these things can be there, and they are not bothered by it. They are not bothered. But moving on, let me come on this hot button issue. The issue in relation to what appears over the weekend. And I'm referring here to this is which day, a few days ago, might have been yesterday, Kaicho News. Team Mohammed to take legal action against Guyanese critics for murder accusation. This one not. This one sweet. Team Mohammed to take legal action against Guyanese critic for murder accusation. And let me read what I said, because I want to take legal action against me too. But I'm reading here what the Kaicho News reported. They say, Kaicho News is saying, businessmen Nazar and Nazaruddin Mohammed have indicated that they will be taking legal action against social media personality Mikhail Rodriguez, popularly known as Guyanese critic, who on his morning show broadcast on Facebook accused the father-son duo of committing murder. On Friday, that is Friday last year, Friday the 4th of March, on Friday, Guyanese critic reportedly accused the duo of being involved in murder. In response, later Friday, that is later the same day, Nazaruddin Mohammed told Kaicho News that the Guyanese critic will be sued for all the libelous and defamatory statements made about him and his father, Nazar Mohammed. And then I read the next part. They say Ricardo Fagundes, better known as Paper Shards, was shot more than 20 times in March 2021 by two men, moments after stepping out of a popular night spot on Main Street, Georgetown. They didn't mention the name, but it's Palm Court. I can say that because that is a fact. He stepped out of Palm Court and he was riddled with bullets. The men had emerged from the back seat of a waiting Toyota Fielder car, which was heavily tinted. Police later found a burnt-out car at a location along the Suzaik Linen Highway. And what they didn't say, that the police are saying that is a car that was used as a getaway car. I put it in the blanks. I fill in the blanks. It goes on to say, this is not the first time that the Mohammeds have been accused of being connected with his killing. That's Paper Shards killing. A police detective sergeant, Dian Bascom, was the first to do so and was sued millions for libel, a similar fate that critic might face in the coming week. Let me go on, this story sweet. I'm going to give you a little. Brennan said, start to look at the arrow. Yeah, mouth open story, jump out. I've heard the thing how Guyanese, man. All the proverbs and all the sayings are coming out. I continue from the Kaicho News. The Mohammeds have repeatedly denied any involvement in the murder of the Guyanese, and the Guyanese critic in the past had defended them by publicly saying that the accusations were unfounded. So what they're saying is, in the past, critic had defended the Mohammeds in respect to the same allegation by saying it was unfounded. Be going on. Critic even implied that persons behind the accusations are enemies of the Mohammeds who might be trying to set them up for the crime. The article goes on. I tell you, this thing sweet bad, it's sweet bad. The article goes on. However, on Friday, critics sang a different tune where he now alleges that the Mohammeds are involved in the killing. And again, I remind you, the killing they're referring to is the killing of Paper Shards, which occurred in 2021, a stone's throw from where the president official residence is in Main Street. Let me give for all y'all who know Georgetown, This thing happened at the corner of Main Street, right at Main Street, just in front of Palm Court, right? That is just north of that Chinese restaurant, New Thriving. I'll give you all it, just in the intersection there by Middle Street. And the president, official residence state house is between Middle Street and I think is Morris Street it is, whatever name now, Middle Street and that street there. It's there with all sorts of security guards and all of that. And they said that during the course of this killing, men came out with what appeared to be AK-47 rifle. Because they put in report that they recover AK-47 spent shell. Well, I know AK-47 gets spent shell. I know it's, you have to name the caliber because it's not only AK-47 can fire that particular caliber. But it's like the type of careless reporting we get. They also said 9mm shells, which is correct, 9mm shells. But you can't say AK, you should not say AK-47 spent shell. That suggests that the spent shells are unique to the AK-47, which is not so. And I know about guns, so I can tell you that. Other firearms fire the same caliber of weapon. But that is what they did report. So I ain't knocking them for that. I'm just trying to educate them. Again, when you report media, should not say AK-47 spent shell in naming a particular caliber. You understand? You said 9mm, fine, because several kinds of weapon can fire the 9mm. When you say AK-47, you're giving the impression that it's only AK-47 can fire that 7.62 by 39 ammunition, which is not so. I'm going to go into all the other details now. Yes, Sean, 7.62, not 7.2. Yeah, right, 7.62 by 39, or as we would call it, 7.62 short, right? And then the Americans get a different designation for it. So, yeah, and then the Russians get a different designation for it. So, let me go on. They say, however, on Friday, critics sang a different tune, where he now alleges that the Mohammeds were involved in the killing. The social media personality statement comes a day after the Mohammeds accused them of collecting $5 million from them to settle with the family of the dead crane operator, Sean Joseph, a former employee of his company, Tipui Group Construction, this critics company, Tipui Group Construction, but only gave them $460,000. And then I tell you, Joseph died in an industrial accident while on duty at critics company worksite. So what they're saying is that the Mohammeds claim that they gave critic $5 million Ghana to give to the family of this man who died in this industrial accident, Sean Joseph. And they're saying that critic only gave them $460,000. That is what they're claiming. The Guyanese critic in his live morning show that is on Friday said, for the Mohammed to come and say, them give me money to settle. I don't know what is the cost for life. It is not me shoot somebody and kill them and pay to cover it up. I have never done that before. And then he added, I ain't playing nice no more because there are people crying out there for their families. The Fagundes family wants justice. The Fagundes he's referring to is this man, Ricardo Fagundes, better known as Paper Shards, that we are referring to. He was killed in front of Palm Court. They go on. Late in the show, critic implied that one of the reasons why the Mohammeds are angry with him is because they allegedly could not get him to help them to cover up the murder. And he referred to Paper Shards' murder, saying they didn't get him to help them cover up. So they come out against this war going on now. He says here, he's quoted in the Kaicho News is saying, is when the Mohammeds find themselves in a problem, is then them realize that they can't use me. They thought I supposed to come and say, no man, the Mohammeds didn't do this. Who the F? And that's what they said, who the F, but I saw the tape. I didn't say who the F. He called the word, yeah? He called the word. Who the F did it then? He said before questioning details of the investigation into the murder in an attempt to directly link the Mohammeds to the covering up. So here we go, here what he says. He goes on to say here, how the story died down. He asked a question, how the story died down. How a man get murdered and camera disappear. Now this me just saying, I effing ready. Who got the money and the resources to make a camera in front of Palm Court stop working? Who get the money and the resources to get a brand new car for do it and then burn the car when it's done? not poor people. Following the accusations, Azardin Muhammad has once again said that he's innocent of that, said that he's innocent, and the Guyanese critic is ungrateful and a liar. So Muhammad said he's innocent, and he said Muhammad is ungrateful and he's a liar. And the story ends, the article ends by saying, uh, Muhammad is saying, I challenge critic and anyone that got any evidence about me or any associates of me involved in that murder, they can come forward and provide the evidence to the police force at the earliest time, anytime. That is what Azardin Mohammed is reported to have said in the Kaicho News. I think it's a Saturday or something. Let me bring him as a Conway. He can't bat this thing all alone. This thing's sweet. This thing's sweet. Mr. Conway, your comments, my brother.
I I read the article, and I have to go back to the initial investigation and also to a Sergeant Bascom, Detective Sergeant, who made some stinging revelation of what took place and what some readings from a computer. And I recall the head of the CID said that the police didn't have that kind of computer. Perhaps he wasn't in a wrong in the force when the computer was seized from Roger Khan. And also he said, he was quoted in the newspaper, that computers of that nature does not exist in the world. Perhaps he didn't know or he hadn't read about Pegasus, that Israeli spy equipment that we want to suspect is currently being used in Guyana. We know it's being used in the Arab country, where we have close relationship in Mexico and all over the place. That equipment can turn on your phone, can turn it off, can turn on your camera without you knowing. And when Basco made those revelations, the extended squatter and the head of the CID, with breakneck speed, held a news conference. They're saying to debunk what the sergeant said, and they could not have. They made a horrible attempt to do so. They could not have debunked that thing. Instead, they charge him with cybercrime. Before they interview him, before they carry out investigation to see what way to get his story, they shut him down from the beginning, transfer him, charge him with cybercrime. And when he moved to the court for cybercrime, the politically controlled office of the DBP null pros the prosecution. And it reminds me years ago, of a picture I see in a book that I read. There's a man named Frank Sorpico who shook up the NYPD, which was involved in widespread corruption and bribery. I think Al Pacino was a man who starred in that film there, where the United States authority, instead of shunning Serpico, they listened to his case. They all, I think it's the NAPS commission, and he testified, and it shook the very foundation of the NYPD. But what we did, we shut down Bascom. We charge him, we transfer him, and we do all kind of thing with him instead of listening to him. And down under they had another one too, where a woman who was a prostitute, who was a strumpet, or to use a word that some of them might not recall or remember, a wabbin. Remember, Mighty Sparrow talk about wabbin, that they could put me out of place if they only tackle Tiger Bay and burn down the place where they where me wabbin to stay. Where this was a woman of what they call ill repute, and they listened to her. They had a commission. I think she named Shelley Ann Oxtive, and she brought down the most decorated person in New South Wales Police Division, Roger Rossington. He had 13 prestigious awards, and he was a murderer. He was a criminal. He was a drug pusher, and a prostitute brought him down because the persons there, the authorities there, listened to her. She had a story to tell, but these are not listening to Bascom's story. They shot him. They shut him down. So I wouldn't be surprised if they don't call critics. If critics make a revelation, call him for what it's worth and hear what he got to say. If he say, well, he ain't trust the police and he give information, all well. But call him. Nobody ain't call him out yet because they're covering down and they're hushing down. Bascom make mention about some 20 million paid to a certain police officer. So what a critic is saying, they will not, I could bet me that they will not pull in critic and find out from him if his story is authentic and all kind of thing. The NYPD do that, the New South Wales police do that with tremendous success and shook those police department to the core.
But yes, yeah, but let me say this because I have it here to say this man is making this according to the police. According to the police, you remember following this thing, and I'm gonna go into it in more detail. You get off this thing sweet. According to the police, this is an open matter. The investigation into Fagundes matter is not closed. They brought in the RAS. Remember that? The RSS came, and the RSS came to a conclusion without even speaking to Boston, who was making these allegations. They didn't talk to you, but they conclude that the police were capable of conducting the investigation. They said that he submitted a report to the Ministry of Home Affairs. The Ministry of Home Affairs refused to make the entire report public. They gave you excerpts to basically to say that the allegations made by Boscom weren't true. But let me say, you talk about investigation, and I'm going to read excerpts from the paper of August 31st, 2022. I'm going to read it. I would expect that given the fact that this is an open, or even if it had closed, you got to reopen the investigation. And they say that it is not closed, it is open. One would expect that by now, because these allegations by Critic were made since Friday. By now, somebody would have gone to Critic to question him about these revelations. Can you remember, he's accusing the Mohammeds of killing paper shards for Ricardo Fagundes in 2021. That is the allegation. I will say it's allegation. That is the allegation. He's accused of I would expect that the police would go to Critic to get statements from him. But the dilemma is, if you recall, Boscom made allegations against the person in charge of the major crime unit, Michelle Caesar, calling him because it's there in the report. Boscom made the allegation against him. So who can investigate? If the head of the major crime unit is alleged to be involved in the cover-up, who you gonna get to investigate? That is why we had said from the inception, this paper shards, Ricardo Fagundes murder, requires people with the capacity. We spoke about Scotland Yard, we spoke about FBI, instead of bringing RAS. The RSS had never investigated a matter of this nature. The RSS was not constituted to investigate allegations of murder and execution and that type of thing. The RSS is to provide disaster response and all that. They call in the RSS. But I'm saying now, and I'm going to monitor it, now that Critic has made these damning allegations, which really corroborates what Boscom had said. It requires a credible investigation. And I'm saying now, a credible investigation cannot be done by the Guyana Police Force. Cannot. Because allegations were made by a sergeant in the Guyana Police Force that a senior officer in the Guyana Police Force and others got $30 million Guyana dollars to cover up this murder. So how are you going to go to them to investigate? Not even, you might say I'm going to the major crime unit because the head of the major crime unit is accused of being complicit in this whole matter. So, but which other unit? The entire force is stigmatized by this. And therefore, for you to have a proper investigation, you got to bring in people who can be deemed to be credible. And we said people from Scotland Yard, people from FBI. But let's see what they are going to do. And Mr. Conway made the point. Let me remind you, let me emphasize that when Boscom made this allegation, rather than taking it seriously, they decided to persecute Boscom. They first of all, I found it strange, very strange, and we had commented on that. I got to remind you, because I know too that some of the students are new. A letter was written to Boscom by one lawyer, Punai, on behalf of Mohammed, on behalf of Caesar, and on behalf of Richmond. One lawyer wrote letters on behalf of them based on the allegation made by Boscom. One lawyer did the writing. And while nothing is wrong with that, it raises suspicion that the one lawyer could be representing the man who is alleged to have been committing this murder, to have been representing the man who is in charge of the unit that's said to be have been investigating this murder, and one of the persons who's said to have been either the gunman or something else in this thing. The same lawyer wrote letters to these people. So we're saying again, this matter can't finish. This thing come up again. As I said in the country, you raise an ant's nest. You raise an ant's nest. Now let me go. As we said, let me. I'll say, who gonna investigate? Who are going to investigate this matter? Clearly, the Ghana police force can't investigate this matter now. Clearly, because as I've said, members of the force are accused of accepting 30 million Ghana dollars to cover up this murder. And critics ask some question, who get them type of money to make the camera? This is a camera. One of these, they talk about cameras, the camera couldn't work. And we had mentioned it. This car, according to the police again, the getaway car from Main and Middle Street in Georgetown, all the way to the Linden-Suzaik Highway. For those of you who don't know the geography, there's about 26 miles. I have to pass several police stations to get there. And what the police said is that this car was burnt. Obviously, the evidence and so on, they burn up the evidence in this place. But this car traveled all the way to go there. And critic is saying, I want Miss Coty, next thing you know, they're going to say, he said, critic is saying that this car was bought specifically for this purpose. And at the end of the day, once the mission was accomplished, the car was destroyed. And he asked him, who get the type of money to do something like that? That is what Critic asked on his program on Friday. And I will say to you guys who have not seen it, Critic program on Friday, you should look at it to listen to yourself and hear the allegations that Critic made against the Mormons. Real damning allegations. The man even play some voice notes because apparently he keeps records. And I'm sure the police, any proper investigation, should be interested with all of these voice notes. Because critics say about 40 of them visa get taken away. Critics say visa get pulled. And if you recall, look, let me tell you something. Do you recall about a year ago? I'm going to do the research and perhaps in the next program, I'll give more specific timeline. About a year ago, Senior Superintendent Calvin Brutus of the Ghana Police Force made a statement that the U.S. State Department had sanctioned, I'm sure his sanction is the word he used. He used some word, I can pull it up. Departments of the police force. And then he talked about because he meant something. I want from Miss Coty, so I can pull it up and I can read it to you all, a thing. He said, that is Brutus, the man in charge of admin of the police force at the time. They had some presentation, something at UG, and he made the comment that the U.S. State Department had sanctioned, had blacklisted, some word like they use, I'm paraphrasing, but that is the gist of what he said. Departments within the force. And we had asked the question, which department did they think? And nothing came out. And I had chastised the journalists because they did not follow up. Some journalists who are my friends, they did not follow up with it. But Critic is now saying about 40 persons, according to Critic. And Critic said they're vexed because he's no longer seen by the Langin with the mob. Critic said, me, DA, FBI, Homeland Security, get the eyes on the man. I don't want to be seen associated with him. That is what critics say. I only repeated what he said. I don't want to profit from it. And that is why I'm telling you, you should go on social media, look for Critic program. I'm sure it might still be up on Friday, the 1st of March, 2024. And listen for yourself what took place. For those of you who are sensitive, you got to say viewers' discretion advised because a lot of cussing up take place. A lot of expletives, as we would say, a lot of fancy language was used on the program. So for those of you who don't like hearing them type of word, I remember when I was in training school almost 50 years ago, when you come to giving statement in decent language as well, some of those church girls in the class, when they say they don't want to use the actual word, so they say F's and S. He used a lot of F's and S's. Yankee Williams, our instructor, where is F and S? Where is F and S? Fights and shouts? No. You're police. You're writing a statement. You got to say exactly what the word the person used. Don't tell me what they use a lot of F's and S. You got to say what the F's and the S's are. So when you go on the Critic program, you're going to see all of that. But let me move on with the same Critic thing because we are referencing the Bascom matter. And let me tell you what transpired. And this is back in when I get the exact date here, but back some time ago. Let me pull it up here. But I get the date and the thing. On the August 31st, 2022, there's a headline. Azharuddin Mohammed sues Bascom for $200 million over Fugundes claims. In other words, Azharuddin Mohammed, he sued Bascom for $200 million. Let me read a part. And it goes on to say the byline, Nigel used rights president over protection. Even the president, make the allegation and became a whistleblower. According to the laws of Guyana, Bascom became a whistleblower. And the president and the government refused to give him the protection as defined in the laws of Guyana. So, here what the article says, let me read a couple part. As he had threatened, businessman Azharuddin Mohammed has filed a more than $200 million lawsuit against Sergeant Dion Bascom, who he said defamed him regarding allegations about the killing of Ricardo Fugundes. Meanwhile, Bascom's attorney Nigel Hughes yesterday again wrote President Irfan Ali seeking witness protection for his client, who he said is deeply concerned about his and his family's safety. 2 weeks ago, Bascom went public with a bombshell corruption allegation. Following Bascom since deleted a Facebook video, which he nonetheless made clear he was standing by. Mohammed Enterprise and Superintendent of Police Mitchell Caesar demanded a retraction, public apology, and monetary compensation, or lawsuit will follow. Well, they didn't get the, again, I say, remember, let me read the part back. Mohammed Enterprise and Superintendent of Police Mitchell Caesar demanded a retraction, public apology, and monetary compensation, or lawsuit will follow. Well, I know the lawsuit followed. $200 million he was sued for. It goes on. Mohammed, in a statement of claim, that is in the lawsuit, said that the statement made by Bascom were, among other things, false and malicious, tarnish his reputation, and cause him public humiliation, psychological trauma, and emotional distress. Against this background, the claimant is seeking general damages for defamation in excess of $100 million and an additional $100 million for exemplary, punitive, and/or aggravated damages, with interest to be paid at the rate of 6% per annum from the date of filing on Monday, August the 29th, to the date of judgment, and thereafter at a rate of 4.6 per annum until fully paid. Mohammed also seeking court costs and further order a judge sees any further order just fit to grant. Let me read the next little party. He says, through his attorney, Naresh Punai, the claimant is also asking the court to grant an injunction restraining Boston from making any further related utterances, describing himself as a devout Muslim, striving to uphold the tenets of his religion, such as honesty, charity, moral turpitude, and discipline. Mohammed deposed in his claim that he not only has an unblemished record, but he has never been charged with any criminal offense. Following Boscombe's allegation, Mohammed has said that one of his competitors in the gold industry, who he did not name, is the driving force behind the allegation leveled against him and other members of the Guyana police force by Sergeant Boscombe. At the end of the man said, let me read. Hello, I tell you all this thing sweet this morning. This thing sweet, but the man described himself as a devout Muslim, striving to uphold the tenets of his religion, such as honesty, charity, moral turpitude, and discipline. That is what he said. That is what he said. Those were the words used. And I'm reading from, again, let me tell you, let me give you the reference. I'm reading from this newspaper, I think it's Cyber News, August the 31st, 2022. So you can go and read it yourself. But again, an interesting question is raised. Boscombe was charged for cybercrime. I think the matters are still ongoing before the court. All set of charges are brought against him. He's currently interdicted from the police force as a result of those charges. Cybercrime. Are they going to charge critic for cybercrime? Did Asruddin Mohammed or any one of the Mohammeds make a report to the police about this, what took place on Friday, so they can, this cybercrime that has been abused, the same cybercrime law that the Attorney General Muammar Andil Nandalal, the Attorney General, the SC, MP, said will be repealed, will be replaced, I think is the word they use, will be replaced with a more modern, same cybercrime law, but they're using it. So, having regards to the fact that Mohammed is claiming that this man make all these statements, which are false, and I'm sure if they're false, they would have caused him a lot of emotional distress. So, therefore, are they going to pursue cybercrime charges against the Guyanese critic? I'm asking for a friend. Are they going to do that? But, the DPP that we get, let's see, because the brotherhood might be at work, but let's see what will take place. Yeah, they go after Boscombe. And as the thing said, Boscombe having made these allegations, according to the law of Guyana, what we call the Whistleblowing Act, get some other name, became a whistleblower. And the law, therefore, provides for him to get certain protection. And Boscombe's attorney wrote to the president on more than one occasion, asking for protection of Boscombe, and no protection was offered. Instead of protection, he get charged. And I tell you all these things sweet this morning. So the trial is ongoing. The trial is ongoing. I'm talking about the trial of the cybercrime charge. And during one of the court hearings, the man at the Office of Professional Responsibility on the cross-examination said that he cautioned Boscombe. And when he was questioned with the caution, he said he cautioned Boscombe over the telephone. Sunday God, not yesterday, Sunday before, I was there with some old police at a place, some prominent detectives, former detectives or so. I tell them, no, they must have heard it. The men roll with laughter. I said, they can't believe that. I said, yes, and this is an officer, this man in charge of the OPR, the Office of Professional Responsibility. And when he was questioned, he said he cautioned him over the telephone. And when he was asked what was the response having administered such a caution, he said he couldn't remember. When they laugh, we talk about the judge's rule and this thing. It says that once you caution a person, you have to record the response. You have to record the response. And this is a detective, this is a senior officer. Well, not senior in terms of police ranking, but deputy superintendent of police. So he cautioned him over the telephone. But he couldn't remember what the response was. So we had to see what will be the outcome of the matter. Let me bring in Mr. Conway, man. I bought too much. The button so sweet, or the bowl is so soft. I bought so much. CC, bought me to the end, man. 1.5 hours done already. Let me hear you.
Okay, you know, the more you listen to recent events of the paper shots execution, the more it calls for that investigation to be reopened. And getting back to the imaginary RAS report, remember the president said, open statement, not prompting. He said that he directed the Minister of Home Affairs to release, and the minister said it is confidential and he can't release anything. You mentioned that they didn't talk to Boston. They even went further. They escorted the team or whoever to West Coast Barbies, where they had the killing of the Henry brothers. And the man who was the first responder, the late senior superintendent Cooper, nobody interviewed him. They never reach him and say good morning or good afternoon. Nobody interviewed Cooper, a first responder and a man who did a lot of work in relation to that thing. So getting back to this paper shots matter, it is crying out. You can't get the RAS people to do anything because they specialize in disaster, in dealing with disaster. That's their mandate. And if you look at the vehicle is blown up and they can't find the VIN. And those of you who might not know, the VIN is a vehicle identity number. All the vehicles get vehicle identity number. Could you tell me it burned up and it melt up, all the iron melt up that they can't get thing? Even when Timothy McVeigh, they had bombed up the government building in Oklahoma City, they use a vehicle, and with all the destruction that happened there, the persons were able to get the VIN, and that's how they trace it because it was a vehicle that they rented. So this thing needs a proper in-depth investigation. But locally, we can't do investigation. You can't put cat for watch milk. They need it is crying out for international persons to come in and do proper investigation. And we want no RAS report. Don't RAS up this investigation.
Well, the critic this also promised to interview Ricardo Fagundes' family. Because I think they on the some anniversary, so they made a statement, and people are saying that Roger Khan, convicted drug trafficker Roger Khan, did say at the time that he was the intended target. And so therefore people are saying that maybe Khan and the family of the of Fagundes, paper shot, should now come out again and demand that a proper investigation should be conducted so there can be closure. So because here it is now, someone who was very close to the Mohammeds. There's no question about that. That critic was very close to the Mohammed. You have the pictures and all of those things to prove that. He is now coming out and he's accusing them of being involved in this paper charge murder. And you want to tell me that they should not pursue this now and get people, independent people, credible people to investigate this murder? You telling me that should not be done? And I am saying to the family, you should not sit back and allow this to go that way. Should not. You have a responsibility to your deceased relative to make sure that this thing is properly done so that you can have closure. As it is now, it's an open wound that is causing pain, because I am sure that, having listened to what critics said on Friday, is the wounds that were perhaps healing slowly will now open again. And these people are pained by to hear what happened to their loved one. And we sit back in this land that we call Guyana, which is not a real place. And if this investigation is not properly investigated, it will only confirm that it is not a real place. And you all sit down. You have to sit down. And the family don't sit back and expect that the crime chief and them gonna follow this up. No, they are not going to do that. The family have to make sure that you bring pressure to bear for this matter to be, but not reopened, because they said it was never closed. But it's sleeping. It's sleeping. 4 years now. 21, 22, 23, 23 years ago. Guys, 21 it happened. 3 years ago. And that is what. And the RA said that they were capable, the police are capable of investigating this matter. I said no. The fact that the allegation of corruption was leveled against the senior man in charge of the major crime unit, police have no competence. They have no moral authority to investigate this murder. You got to get independent, credible investigators. That's the only way this matter is going to be brought to a close. We're going to talk more about this, because I suspect that in the coming days, before we come back on the next program, more is going to happen. This is a fluid, very fluid matter, and I think more is going to happen. But in closing, let me move on. There's a matter last week. We spoke about the Police Discipline Act, and we dealt with the part dealing with investigations, how the investigation is conducted in accordance to Section 5.3 of the Police Discipline Act, Chapter 1701. And we spoke about the notice. I got a couple of things, because, we get bright students, and they sent me some query, they sent me some investigation thing. And let me mention it here now. We had said that you have to serve a breach of discipline notice to the person who's alleged to have committed the offense, known as the defaulter, telling him in detail of the offense he's alleged to have committed. And the breach of discipline notice is, and they send one, I'm going to call the name and all of that. These are one where somebody is charged for neglect of duty, right? Under Section 4E2, which is, if I remember serve me correct, 4E2 says you fail to perform your duty with diligence. 41 says that if you fail to do anything which is a member of the force to do, 41. 43 speaks about leaving the point of duty to which you are ordered without due permission or sufficient cause. I think I remember them. But 42 is failing to perform your duty with diligence. So here what happened? The corporal was served with a notice sometime back. And it says that you are hereby informed that I'm investigating a report of breach of discipline made against you, in that you, on a date is provided, a place is provided, while on duty, failed to perform your duty with diligence, contrary to Section 4E2 of the Police Discipline Act, Chapter 1701. And then the place there for the investigator to sign. Well, I said to them, and I'm saying to you now who are listening, police, that is a clear violation. That part is a violation. Because when you end by saying, contrary to Section 4E2 of the Police Discipline Act, Chapter 1701, you have not satisfied the requirements of the law, because the law says he must be told in simple language of the offense he committed, because that should go on to say, let me tell you, make a note, that once you say contrary to Section 4E2 of the Police Discipline Act, Chapter 1, that is to say that you did so. That is the detail. You have to go on. You can't end it at contrary to Section 4E2 of the Police Discipline Act, Chapter 1701. That is incomplete. That is not in compliance with the section, because the section says you have to explain to him the nature of the offense. And I'm saying to you that once you go there, contrary to Section 4E2 of the Police Discipline Act, Chapter 1701, then you have to go on to the next thing to say. That is to say, either on a particular date or between two dates, you did so. In the case of neglect of duty 4E2, which he failed to perform his duty with diligence, you have to tell him. If he failed to perform his duty with diligence, it's caught sleeping on duty. You rank is caught sleeping on duty, then you will say, that is to say, being the armed sentry at so at time, you were visited by someone so and found sleeping while armed or something like that. You got to give the details. You have to give the details, because that is what the law says, not pass law saying Section 5.3 of the Act says. So in response to this student who sent this thing to me, I am saying to you that this is not the way it should be done. And I further say, as I said to the student directly, this is a fatal error to this whole process, because the person has not been told the details of the investigation. And the law requires that, right? So then it goes on, and as I said, we think we agree now that that first endorsement or the first statement is signed by the investigating rank. Because the investigating rank is telling the defaulter, the person who's alleged to have committed the offense, what he is investigating. So he signs that. And then there's a second statement. So you are hereby informed of your rights under Section 5.3 of the said Act to refuse to make any written or oral statements unless you did so desire. Second, and quite naturally, the language to you will tell you that that is the investigating rank signs that as well. And then the third one here says, I hereby certify that I receive a true copy of this notice from whoever at what time, and that I understand the nature of same. Now, let me tell you about this part. Take out your notebook. Because when you say I hereby certify that they receive a true copy of this notice from, you have to state the rank and the name of the person who you received the notice from. Because remember we said that the law stipulates from what rank can investigate. So therefore you want the notice to reflect that the person who is investigating has the rank as stipulated by the act. So you can't just say that you received the notice. No, you have to say you received the notice from Sergeant so at so much, whatever time you received the notice. Time is also important. That the notice was received. The time the notice was received is important. And you will learn later on why it is important. Because as I've said, unless this is complied with, then you can't move on with the process. You cannot conduct any investigation if the person has not been served with a discipline notice. Let me bring in Mr. Conway and then to close off. CC, I just wanted to expand and clarify based on the question asked, and then your closing remarks, comments on that and your closing remarks.
Yeah, Paul, and it's embedded, in the Constitution of Guyana. Article 144 2b said, the person shall be informed as soon as reasonable practicable in a language that he or she understands and in detail of the nature of
CC, you're muted. Apparently you touched something there and you're muted. You're muted. Yeah, you're off now.
Yeah, I'm saying, according to the Constitution, it's saying 144 2b that the person must be told in simple language, a language that he understands, and in detail what is it you are investigating. Not, it mustn't be no secret. The person must be told in clear language what is it you are investigating. And anything other than that is wrong, completely wrong. And another point too that I think we didn't mention, Paul, is that you hear people saying they put in a junior man, a corporal, or a constable to collect statements, and they said the constable or the corporal assisting in investigation. There's nothing like assisting in investigation. The law is clear that every alleged commission of a breach of discipline shall be investigated as soon as practicable by a member of the force not below the rank of a sergeant and of a higher rank than the rank who's alleged to have committed the offense. So you hear another nonsense. They're dealing with disciplinary matters, and you hear that a junior man, a man with the same rank like me, in assisting in investigation. You can't assist in an investigation. You have to stay away from the investigation. So that is clear. And then before I close off, I still got to mention that man who's like a little above Marmite, untouched by arms, Sigobin, Corporal Sigobin from Borbis, who was charged with sexual offense at the Wayne Magistrates Court, is still not interdicted. And he's saying that he and the extended squatter are right. He gets secret for the extended squatter, and the squatter can't do him anything. And maybe he's correct.
Time will tell. Time will tell. You know, Jimmy Cliff sang that song, Time Will Tell. Thank you, my brother. Thank you. But before I close, a question was asked of me by one of the students, whether he was speaking about the appeal process in the courts, not the police discipline procedure. He wanted to know if a decision made by a magistrate, if the person can go straight to the Caribbean Court of Justice. I don't think so. It has to go through a process. You want to appeal, then you appeal to the court in Guyana, and it works its way all the way to the appeal court in Guyana, and then from the appeal court in Guyana, it goes to the Caribbean Court of Justice, which is our final court. Let me give an example. When when the commission filed the action against the president, and we had a situation where the life of the commission ended, Justice Dino Prasad ruled that because of the public interest nature of the matter, he is going to substitute Paul Slow, that is me, in the place and stead of the Police Service Commission. That was what Justice Dino Prasad ruled. The Attorney General appealed that, and the next step was for that to go to the full court. Now, that matter went to the full court, and the full court upheld the decision made by Justice Prasad. In other words, the court said that Justice Prasad was correct. However, they made one little adjustment. They said rather than substituting Slow in the place and stead of the commission, Slow will be added as an applicant, and therefore I was added an applicant in my own right. The Attorney General, not satisfied with that decision from the full court, he sought leave of the full court to appeal the matter to the appeal court. You hear that? The full court ruled, then the Attorney General sought leave of the full court to appeal the matter to the appeal court of Guyana. That leave that he sought was denied. The full court said, no, there's nothing to go for. It's a straightforward matter. Then we deal with the substantive matter. So you understand? I hope I explain. So I don't think, to the best of my knowledge, I know liar, but the best of my knowledge, I don't think you can appeal a matter from the magistrate court straight to the Caribbean Court of Justice, the apex court in Guyana. It has levels to go through. So it gets to the CCJ at the last level. The example I'm giving, the judge ruled, that was appealed to the full court, and the full court is comprised of two judges. Two of the same judges on the circuit. Full court is comprised of them. So one judge rule, it goes to the full court, two judges. And then the next level is the appeal court. Our appeal court now I think has 3, and they're thinking about expanding, but now it is 3. And if you are not satisfied with the decision of the appeal court, then either party can then go to the CCJ. So that is what I know, and I know liars are on the program. If I have it, if I'm not correct, please let us know so we can give the students the correct and valid information. So I think those are the things I wanted to mention. Start and Evelyn is saying each step has a procedure. Yes, can't just jump like that. Can't jump like that. And so that is how I know it. As again, I say I'm no liar, but I'm just talking from the little experience I have, especially the past couple of years where they had me from 2021. You know, as a police officer, you get a lot of experience in criminal matters. But from 2021, when they get me running in front of the civil lawsuit, criminal court, appeal court, up to recently I've been at the Court of Appeal, full court, all of those things I've experienced in the past couple of years. And it has made me a little wiser. So, yeah, that is what we have. So, folks, long session this morning. I said this morning, and I'm sure this Mohammed and the Mohammed and the critics matter, it ain't done. I'm sure it ain't done yet. So you're gonna hear more. And so our next session is on Wednesday. God spare our lives. We're gonna be here on Wednesday, God's willing, to bring you another episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Until then, take care. Have a good day. Bye.